In October 2015, I was facilitating a cross-team retro. There were all these managers from sales, marketing, finance, IT, and so on. I had this big poster on the wall with two columns, one for everything that we were doing good, another for everything that we could do better. So the retro started, as usual, people started writing on Post-its and putting it up one by one on the poster. And that's when I noticed something. There was nothing on the good column. So I put the question to the group, I'm noticing that there's nothing on the good column. What's up with that? And that's, it kind of fell flat. The group was silent for some time. And after an awkward moment of silence has passed, the first person started talking. And then the next one chimed in, and the conversation started picking up. It started becoming lively. And very soon, the room transformed. Any guesses what was happening there? Have you had retros like that? Yeah? But it was not as bad as that, but it was very close. Everyone was blaming each other. It's all their fault. So Burkhard, what got everyone so excited in the first place?
This retro happened in the midst of the Push trade-in project. Push what? You're right, I'm sorry. To understand what the Push trade-in project is, you need to understand what Push is. Push is an instrument that we make, and see for yourself. You get the idea. The first Push we ever made was introduced in 2013. So in 2015, when Push 2 was about to come out, we were wondering, what happens to all the Push 1 units when Push 2 comes out? I mean, we hated to see them just being stored away in some basement, because we thought, I mean, Push 1 is still a pretty good product to make music with. So someone came up with the idea to give a large discount on Push 2 for everybody who would send in their Push 1. So people would plug up their Push 1, send it to us, get a Push 2 at a good price, and put it back in. Boom, making music. We would refurbish the Push 1 units and pass them on to schools and educators for free. That way, more kids and students would be able to make music with Push. We loved that idea. Everybody was really excited, and everybody talked about the trade-in project. Now, we're a company that makes music software and hardware. We're not a supply chain company. We're not about enterprise resource planning. We're not so much about sales. So operationally, we were totally unprepared for something like that. But the vision was so great that everybody agreed to pull it off. And then reality took its toll. And our journey began.
I'm Ashok, and I work as a coach at Ableton, helping Ableton through this journey we are about to describe. The Irishman making a funny face is Brendan. He was another coach helping us with this journey. Well, fun fact is he is really terrified of flying. So he said, if there was a train from Berlin to New York, he would have been here.
My name is Burkhard. I work as a product owner in IT, and I hope I don't get kicked out here for being from IT. And I happen to be a fellow passenger in that journey, and I'm also maybe one of the guys you saw in the retro picture earlier. So what does Ableton do? Ableton makes Live and Push, two products. They're basically instruments to make music with. And many of the people who work for Ableton are actually active music makers, which is why we like to think of this journey as developing from a solo artist into an orchestra.
To understand what went wrong with such a great project like Trade-In, I need to take you back to the time we were implementing it. It was summer 2015. By the time I was called in to coach the group, things were already getting ugly. They had already met, planned all the work, created all the to-dos, put all of them into this Basecamp project. They would sit around, project it to the wall, go through the to-dos, check off the ones which they finished, keep adding new ones, and changing the deadlines. And week after week, they would keep doing this. And what was really happening was they were just keeping on adding new to-dos and moving deadlines. There was not much which was getting finished. There was this rising sense of, we are all just wasting time. We're just pushing to-dos here. So I tried everything to fix this. The retro you saw earlier, that was the last straw. Hey, that was so frustrating. I'm a Buddhist. Are there any Buddhists here? There are a few. They would know what I'm about to tell you. Buddhists are really particular about cause and effect, or root cause analysis. Desire is the cause of all suffering. That's what the Buddha said. Any guesses how he came to that conclusion? Root cause analysis. Maybe he was the first Agile coach. I'm a Buddhist Agile coach. Now, that's a really deadly combination, especially for my obsession for root cause analysis. Anyways, that was also the time when Brendan joined me. So we both retired to our office. We started digging deeper and deeper into the problems with the trade-in project. And by that time, there were also other projects which were failing. So we had enough material to work with. So we identified many root causes. And the main one we identified was that teams were doing just too many things at the same time. No wonder they were not able to finish anything. So Burkhard, you were experiencing the pain of all this. Tell us more about that.
To describe it in music, this would probably sound like this.
Enough.
How did listening to that make you feel? Everybody's pretty engaged, isn't it? But it kind of sounds like a bunch of solo artists having sounds and instruments, random gear, just trying to make it work somehow. And really kind of makes me feel, to get me the feeling to rearrange things and kind of tune the instruments a little bit to make it sound a bit more sound just. So yeah, that was a start of trade-in for us. And Brendan and Ashok had an idea about it.
So by this time, the IT teams already had team plannings in place. So we just needed to find a way to spread this to the other business teams. So we looked around for a team that would be willing to experiment with us. And for us, this was the logistics team. So we contacted them, and they were open for something like that. So we taught them how to plan the work, and so we established iteration and quarterly plannings with them. They started talking with the other teams like sales and marketing. And soon, planning was a thing. I mean, we started getting requests for support from other teams to help them with planning. We had facility management teams with Kanban boards, or sales teams with planning boards, or finance teams with Scrum boards. And now that the teams were able to plan all their work, they were beginning to play like bands. And that was the time when we had another one of those infamous retros. But this time it was for another project. Any guesses how different it was this time? So we were like, what? I mean, we did all that, team plannings. I mean, it should have worked. What's going wrong? I mean, they were still blaming each other. Well, the sales teams were planning wonderfully 5 projects for increasing revenue. But the finance team had capacity only for 1. So the sales teams were thinking like, okay, what are all these accountants doing? And what could be more important than increasing sales? That's when we understood about the next important root cause, that teams had no idea about what the other teams were doing. So there was no transparency of work between the teams. So Brandon and I thought, okay, what could we do to fix that? Remember those fun and exciting expos you had in school, with the exploding volcanoes and stuff? Yeah, you had it in the US too. We had it in India. We thought something like that could work. So we set up an expo where people and teams could come in and showcase their projects. Burkhard, you were running around the expo having a lot of conversations. How was it for you?
Well, the first expo was special. Brendan and Ashok, or to not scare away anybody with additional workload, Brendan and Ashok really prepped diligently. everybody was invited to do a pitch on the project they were working on at that time, and was time boxed at 1 minute. Really? 1 minute? Have you tried that? It was exactly 1 minute, and as you can see in the picture, Ashok was relentless about it. But it got everybody on stage, and it helped me a lot to grasp the different things that were going on in the company at that time. Once all the pitches were over, the room turned into a gallery with posters on the wall for all the projects. And not only did we have strong time box and walking directions and room layouts and project lists and everything, we also had poster templates. So as I started to walk around the room looking at the poster, after poster, after poster, after poster, after 5 of them I couldn't really tell the difference anymore. Everyone had done a really great job in following instructions, but the results were incredibly boring. So for the next expo, we didn't get much instructions on the posters. And here's what happened. Now, these things are actually fun to look at and fun to talk about. The 1 minute time box was non-negotiable, though. When I think back at the expos we had, I always leave with the feeling, wow, there's so many things we're doing, and they all seem so relevant. I don't have any orientation on what is actually important for Ableton or for us. And the thing is, everyone is so invested into the work that it seems impossible to convince them to do less. So that was really a conflict for me, and the sound of trade-in was still humming in my ears.
The first expo had 50 projects, so people noticed that. So this whole idea of too many projects was already floating around. So we felt that the timing was right for the next step. So for the first time in the history of our company, we put all the middle managers together in one room. And the main idea was that they would own the problems, and we would just offer facilitation and coaching to support them. So, So we came together for a kickoff, and we came up with a list of impediments, and everyone voted on the top impediments. Guess what came out on the top this time? Too many projects. No surprises there. Maybe we planted the idea in their heads. Well, second to that was a lack of alignment or strategy. So the first thing we did was we set up a group of people responsible for the projects to steer the project. Burkhard, you were part of this group. Tell us what you did in this group.
First of all, having that group was a big relief to me because finally all the people, including myself, who were responsible and most affected by this whole mess, got together and decided to talk about it and solve it eventually. When we first met, there was this strong sense of discomfort and insecurity in the room because I think everybody knew that we had a problem, and also everybody knew that we're no longer allowed to blame the others for it. So that was a tough one to swallow. And that was, I think, in 2016, and up to this day, this feeling has not really resolved yet, so there's still this kind of sense of insecurity about it. The goal of this group was to reduce the number of items we work on at the same time. So for a start, we would collect all the stuff that was ongoing on cards and jointly prioritize them into different columns. The first time we did that, Brendan suggested that we would only tackle the must stuff. So guess where all the cards end up at the end of the session? In the must column. I mean, we're all doing really, 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 really important stuff. So as you can see in the picture here, we eventually managed to let go of a few things. Still, for a group that has decided we're doing too many things at the same time, the won't column seems rather empty. The priorities from the steering group are a proposal to the team plannings. So we in IT would take those priorities and try to fit in as much as of the important work as possible into our quarters, and then confirm with the group to form the quality roadmap, which looks kind of like this. See the projects, and then the ribbons are kind of the timelines. And that's what we operate on a quarterly basis. Let's go back to the sound of trade-in. You realize that on this journey, we don't go from zero to hero or anything. Hopefully not from the other way around. Or we probably went from here to maybe here. Notice a difference? I see some people getting the groove. Yeah. I like that. But still, I guess it's far away from what we would consider an orchestra.
Now that the steering group was in place, the problem of too many projects was slowly going away. So the next impediment in front of us was a lack of alignment or strategy. We were doing all these projects, but are these the right projects to do? When we talked to the executive group at Ableton, we realized that they had a clear idea about what everyone should be doing. It's just that the teams did not know what that was. So we just needed to find a way to capture what was in their heads and put it in a way that everyone can see and use. So we sat down with the executives and came up with what we call initiatives. They are a little bit like objectives in OKRs, like directional pointers at best. We came up with 6 of them and courageously shared with everyone.
The good thing about the initiatives is that no one was caught in surprise. So implicitly, there was an alignment between the executives and the teams. At the same time, you can see that these are really, really broad themes that combine a lot of things under them. So we hope them to become bolder and more concrete in the future.
So Burkhard, do you feel like you are part of an orchestra now?
No. With the steering group and the Expos and the initiatives in place, I feel we're turning into something like an orchestra. And the effort of trying to combine a bunch of solo artists into an ensemble that is making music is paying off. But still, I must confess, today I'm still sometimes puzzled what to play when with my little IT band. So for us, the journey goes on.
Was it one of these steps that helped us form towards an orchestra? Or was it all of these 4 steps? Or maybe it was the millions of conversations we had along the way. Looking back at that retro and the journey that we took, I think it was not so much about the team plannings, the expos, the steerings, or the initiatives. I think it was really about digging deeper into the real causes of the problems we were facing and solving it in a way that worked for us. So in the end, it was really about cause and effect. If you want to hear more about the learnings that we had, just come visit us at the Speaker's Corner.
Oh, sorry. Did you click? Anyways, I don't want to forget to mention that eventually, within the trade-in project, we were able to get out over 4,000 Push 1 units to schools in over 30 countries, and we expect them to reach 40,000 kids. The last thing we owe you is a sneak peek into what it will sound like when we've gone into an orchestra. Here you go. Thank you.